This is an unexpectedly quick follow-up to a video we did earlier today about how Elon Musk openly declared war on the MAGA movement after days of public feuding. Well, that war may be over before it's begun because according to recent reporting, Musk has successfully intimidated Donald Trump into backing him over his own MAGA movement, effectively humiliating not only major MAGA influencers like Charlie Kirk, but also Trump himself by fueling the rumors that it is Musk, not Trump, who is effectively the president-elect. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, folks, this is huge. There's a lot of humiliation here for MAGA influencers like Charlie Kirk, Steve Bannon, and really for Trump himself. And just to show you a little taste of what's going on, this is from the New York Post, a major conservative publication. The Tennessee Holler, which is a progressive channel, they summarize it, and we'll read the article later on. But just to give you a brief snapshot, Trump sides with Elon and the tech oligarchs against Loomer, Bannon, MAGA in the visa fight. According to the New York Post, Trump supports immigration visas backed by Musk. Quote, I have many H-1B visas on my properties. Okay, we will look back at the full article itself, but just to give some context, this is indeed feeding the rumor, the commonly held, the increasingly held perception that it is Elon Musk, the world's richest man and an unelected billionaire, who is the true nexus of power on the right at this moment, not Donald Trump himself. And before we get into the particulars, I want to remind you that this rumor is so pervasive, the sentiment is so common, that Trump himself felt the need to insecurely address it. He interrupted his own prepared remarks at the recent Charlie Kirk hosted America Fest to unpersuasively try to assure people that he's the one really in charge, not Elon Musk.
And we will create the new Department of Government Efficiency headed by Elon Musk. And no, he's not taking the presidency. I like having smart people. You know, they're on a new kick. Russia, 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 Ukraine, 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 all the different hoaxes. And the new one is, President Trump has ceded the presidency to Elon Musk. No, that's not happening.
That's not very persuasive, Donald. It's really not, especially, again, when we learn about things like this, where you have a division between the tech bro, right-wing, oligarchs like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and David Sachs and others, and your own MAGA base, who, by the way, repulsive in its own right. I mean, there's a lot of nativist racism, behind Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon and Laura Loomer as well. So it's one of those situations we're almost like in a monster movie. It's like Freddy versus Jason. No matter who comes out on top in this situation, the rest of us are kind of screwed. But it's interesting. When push came to shove, Trump ultimately went with the money, went with the power brokers like Elon Musk over his own MAGA base. So you can deny it all you want, Donald, but when you make decisions like this, it really does fuel the perception that Musk is pulling your strings rather than you pulling his. Now, in terms of the context of this war declaration by Musk against MAGA, Caitlin Collins has a pretty good summary here, so we're going to play this and then unpack it on the other side.
In his clash with the far right over immigration, Elon Musk is now going after the hardliners, the very heart of the MAGA base, labeling them just a few hours ago as, quote, contemptible fools who must be removed from the Republican Party root and stem. Musk now finds himself pitted against the likes of Steve Bannon, however, Trump's former White House aide, who came out against Musk's push for H-1B visas, which allow highly skilled foreign workers into the U.S. and has long been the lifeblood of Silicon Valley.
H-1B visas, that's not what it's about. It's about taking American jobs and bringing over essentially what become indentured servants at lower wages. This thing's a scam by the oligarchs in Silicon Valley to basically take jobs from American citizens, give them to what become indentured servants from foreign countries, and then pay them less. Simple. To let them into through the golden door.
Now, Bannon's comments align him with people like the far-right activist Laura Loomer, who has been bashing Musk for days now on this and is even accusing him of censoring her on his own platform. She is the anti-immigrant Trump ally who is now claiming that her blue checkmark was removed, her subscriptions were deactivated, her character limits for tweets and posts on X were limited for what she says is, quote, raising concerns and speaking the truth about the technocratic takeover of our country in the White House. Now, that was after she posted racist messages like this, saying our country was built by white Europeans, actually, not third world invaders from India. More on what she is saying about why she lost those privileges on X in a moment with Donnie O'Sullivan.
So, again, that's a refresher of basically what we discussed in the previous video here at Pondering Politics earlier today, but I thought it might be nice to hear from somebody else besides just me, okay? So, for context, everything she said is right. I mean, in response to Scott Adams, who was a cartoonist, a far-right cartoonist, Musk did say, those contemptible fools must be removed from the Republican Party, root and stem. The contemptible fools I'm referring to are those in the Republican Party who are hateful, unrepentant racists. They will be the downfall of the Republican Party if they're not removed. I would argue that even though not every Republican is a racist, let alone an unrepentant racist, I would argue unrepentant racism has been part of the lifeblood of the modern Republican movement, including the MAGA movement, and Elon Musk was either too stupid or too dishonest to understand that prior to this current clash. This idea, oh my God, I had no idea that there was such a vocal contingent of unrepentant racists in the MAGA movement. Buddy, come on. It's almost as ridiculous as hearing Laura Loomer, who is an unrepentant racist, complain about the technocratic influence of Elon Musk. Well, people who are complaining about this now, where were you during the campaign when Elon Musk openly endorsed Donald Trump and, according to multiple studies, appears to perhaps have artificially adjusted the algorithm in Twitter, in X, in order to boost engagement for Republican-leaning far-right or right-wing accounts compared to left-wing accounts. So even though CNN polls say that, according to users, right, that an equal number of self-identified Republicans and an equal number of self-identified Democrats use Twitter as a news source, we have studies which confirm in terms of engagement which tweets are much more likely to be seen and reacted to and reposted and retweeted and liked, that ever since Musk openly endorsed Trump back in July, it has eerily, inexplicably, overwhelmingly favored right-wing accounts. Again, suggesting not an organic turn of events, but Musk juicing the algorithm to favor his preferred side of the political aisle. They didn't complain about that. Laura Loomer and others did not complain about that. They were happy to exploit Elon Musk's influence, his wealth, when Musk was openly, organizing and, raising funds to help Trump get reelected. Again, according to public disclosures, based on just what we know, more than $270 million contributed effectively to the Trump campaign by Elon Musk. Laura Loomer didn't give a damn. Steve Bannon didn't give a damn. Charlie Kirk didn't give a damn. They were happy. These two factions were happy, gleeful to use one another. And then both of them have almost like a surprise Pikachu face at the end. Oh my God, you're horrible, says each to the other. And they're both right. They are both horrible in their own ways. Fascinating. So Elon Musk also said, the reason I'm in America, along with so many critical people who built SpaceX, Tesla, and hundreds of other companies that made America strong, is because of H-1B, saying immigrants are what made America strong. And indeed, immigrants have helped make America so strong, so formidable. But that's not what the nativist, racist MAGA base want to hear. Again, not every Republican is racist, but there is a nexus, there is a core at the MAGA movement that is nativist, that is anti-immigrant, that is racist. And they did not want to hear that. They didn't especially like this bottom part, too. Take a big step back and fuck yourself in the face, said Elon Musk. I will go to war on this issue, the likes of which you cannot possibly comprehend. It appears that threat has once again cowed Donald Trump. Not only did Trump, out of nowhere, effectively back Elon Musk over the continuing resolution government shutdown drama, those bipartisan negotiations went on for weeks and Trump did not intercede whatsoever. Then Musk catches wind of it, torpedoes it, and then Trump, in a half-assed attempt to make it seem like he's the one calling the shots, then tries to get out ahead of Musk. I'm with Musk. And by the way, here's what I demand. I demand that you raise the debt ceiling or suspend the debt ceiling or abolish the debt ceiling so I don't have to deal with it once I become president. And then what's interesting is, as we discussed in a previous video from yesterday, to the extent that either Musk or Trump got what they wanted in the final continuing resolution, which was passed by Congress, neither of them really got what they want, but Musk got more of what he wanted than Trump, because the debt ceiling suspension that Trump demanded, hey, this is a red line. If you don't get this, you don't back a damn thing. And you know what? If you do back it, you should be primaried. Well, it wasn't in the continuing resolution. He didn't get what he wanted, and Republicans backed it anyway. But what Musk primarily wanted, Musk didn't get a lot of what he wanted, right? So it was a failure in large respects, but it was less of a failure than Trump, because he also wanted a reduction in regulations in terms of investments to China. And Musk got that, a loosening of those sorts of restrictions. So again, to the extent that either Trump or Musk got what they wanted out of these continuing resolutions, Musk got more than Trump. So now to have Trump back Elon Musk after effectively making mutually exclusive commitments to the tech bros of Silicon Valley like David Sacks, Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and to the people like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, Laura Loomer, and the MAGA nativist base, Trump does what he always does. He just says whatever the hell he needs to say in order to appease the people that he's most proximate to or that he thinks he needs the most in the moment. Well, he was at a crossroads, and he chose Elon Musk. Again, further fueling the notion that it's Musk effectively calling the shots, that Musk is effectively the de facto president-elect. Steve Bannon, a major figure in the MAGA movement, so funny, in response to Elon Musk, threatening to declare war, Steve Bannon says, someone please notify Child Protective Services. They need to do a wellness check on this toddler. Well, this toddler successfully intimidated, cowed, got to bend your cult leader, Donald Trump. He caved to this toddler. Hilarious. Charlie Kirk as well. Charlie Kirk, by the way, who has also embraced Elon Musk in the past, and has actually, mocked people in the media, mocked, political commentators of a liberal or progressive persuasion like myself. We're like, you guys are just trying to divide Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Well, no, those divisions are there. Those rifts are there. Well, Charlie Kirk also seemed to take a shot at Elon Musk as well and Vivek Ramaswamy by saying, hey, you guys aren't in charge. You don't set policy here. Donald Trump does, and Donald Trump is not going to support these visas. He said he promised that he would crack down on immigration. He promised. You all don't try to intimidate Trump. Well, I want you to hear what Charlie Kirk has to say, and then again, at the very end, we're going to dive into the article of where Trump is at this very moment.
This is a violation of our social contract. And it sounds good. Let's just let more H-1B workers in. But what about the 23-year-old that went to University of Washington and studied computer science at the UW Computer Science Department? Shouldn't he be given preference above someone who could do the work for far less? It is about priorities, and it's not about what Charlie Kirk wants. It's not about what other people want out there. And I have friends on both sides of this debate. It's very simple. It's what the American people wanted. And the American people overwhelmingly voted for less immigration and the prioritization of the American children and the American worker, not the American oligarch. This is
not the American oligarch. Again, a shot across the bow at Vivek and Elon. Hey, listen, this is what the American people wanted, not what Elon Musk and Vivek wanted. They wanted fewer H-1B visas. They wanted fewer immigration, less immigration. And again, before we read this article from the New York Post, I want to give you, even CNN conservative pundits and commentators. They are also, at least prior to this, they were also warning Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and taking shots at them, saying, hey, you guys aren't in charge. It's Donald Trump.
Yeah, look, I think with all due respect to Mr. Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, they should focus on saving federal dollars for the taxpayers and not immigration policy. I understand some of the points that Catherine made, and I agree to an extent, but I think the U.S. should focus more on domestic skill development. Studies also show that H-1B1 exacerbates employers hiring individuals from outside of the country when they could potentially hire minorities, for an example, which we know there's a shortage in the STEM fields. There are a significant number of Americans who I think would love opportunities if they had the proper training and skills to operate in those jobs fairly well. So why not start and focus there? I'm not of the support or mindset, Caitlin, that we should let in more than the 60,000+ that were already let into the country. Do we have some deficits? I certainly understand that point, again, to what Catherine was sort of alluding to. But I think by focusing on increasing domestic skill development, you can decrease the furtherance of those deficits by virtue of saying, you know what, we're going to spend more of our time, more of our dollars educating our own citizens to compete for these jobs versus saying, let's increase to 100,000 or maybe even more for employers to bring in individuals from India, which is a predominant country where many of them come from. I don't agree with that at all. And I think folks in the MAGA world have every right to be angry with Vivek and Elon Musk.
Yeah, well, that's
So you have, again, this sentiment is so pervasive within MAGA that you have a CNN conservative openly endorsing it and openly attacking Vivek and Elon Musk. So again, I just want to be clear. What Donald Trump sided against in favor of Musk and Vivek is not, some people, they're going to be spin attempts on this. Well, listen, this doesn't mean that Elon Musk is running the show. It's Trump, siding against a fringe element of the MAGA movement. Bullshit. It is not fringe. This is how mainstream it is within the right wing. Another clip from the CNN conservative. Then we'll get to the article. And then while this clip was playing, literally in real time, I was sent a link to some seriously funny right-wing cope from people who are furious that Donald Trump has done this. It's so funny. But let's play one more clip. Let's look at the article. Then we'll get to the funny reaction I was just sent.
Look, I'm not against legal immigration. I think most individuals who voted for Trump aren't necessarily against legal immigration as it pertains to H-1B. But Americans didn't vote for Vivek Ramaswamy. They didn't vote for Elon Musk. They voted for Donald Trump in part because of his tough stance on immigration illegally, but also because I assume they believe that the president-elect wouldn't increase the number of individuals coming into the country, even legally, that could potentially negatively impact or disproportionately affect Americans as it pertains to certain types of jobs. And so again, I go back to my original premise. We need to focus on domestic skill development. I understand what former Mayor de Blasio was saying. We got to bring people in with the goal of getting to that point, maybe in the decade or so. I get that. But why not limit the cap where it's at and focus over the next decade of increasing skills within our own people? Most Americans don't want to see good paying American jobs going to people from India or China.
And maybe that's what Donald Trump promised you on the campaign trail. But because Donald Trump is a pathological liar par excellence, the fact that he is an unprecedented liar, the likes of which we've just never seen, he totally hosed you guys. He made a commitment and then broke it. So let's look at this article, and then I want you to see the funny, hilarious reactions from some prominent right-wing influencers over this very article. Trump supports immigration visas backed by Musk. I have many H-1B visas on my properties. Trump told the Post Saturday that he supports immigration visas for highly skilled workers, appearing to side with Elon Musk in the roiling intra-MAGA debate on the issue. Quote, I've always liked the visas. I've always been in favor of the visas. That's why we have them, Trump said by phone, referring to the H-1B program, which permits companies to hire foreign workers in specialty occupations. Quote, I have many H-1B visas on my properties. I've been a believer in H-1B. I've used it many times. It's a great program, added Trump, who restricted access to foreign worker visas in his first administration and who has been critical of the program in the past. So again, you see what I'm saying? This is so important. This is how you know it's not a principled stance by Trump. Trump says whatever the hell is convenient for him at the time. He will say something on Monday, contradict himself totally on Tuesday in front of a different audience, and then by Thursday we'll probably eke out a third position. Even the New York Post, the right-wing New York Post, is like, when Trump talks about how much he loves H-1B and he's a believer in H-1B, they point out that during his first administration, he restricted such visas, right? Because there's no consistency and there's no expectation of consistency. So yes, this appears to be Trump siding with Elon Musk in the moment. Now, again, do I think that that's a principled stance by Trump because, Trump is so committed to, both immigration on principle and, wanting to increase the brain trust here of the United States by, incentivizing skilled foreign laborers and foreign, graduates to come here? No. It is purely because at this time, Donald Trump thinks it's more convenient, more beneficial to bend to the will of Elon Musk than bending to the will of Charlie Kirk, Steve Bannon, and others. And so this is what's hilarious. DZ Drano, who is a prominent right-wing mouthpiece on Twitter, influencer, says this: until I see a Truth Social post from the boss himself, I'm not trusting a Murdoch-owned New York Post piece. This is the denial. Either he's so stupid or is so invested in the notion, because he's committed to it, that Trump wouldn't throw him under the bus like this. Again, he refers to him as the boss. Well, as far as I know, he doesn't work for Donald Trump, but this is how the cult works. He refuses to, he just can't comprehend it. No, oh, damn it. I was so certain that he would back us. I want a Truth Social post. Then if he gets a Truth Social post, he'll probably buy, I want audio. Then if he gets audio, I want video. This is where they are. This is how badly the MAGA base has been humiliated, not for the first time, by their cult leader, Donald Trump. So where are we? Again, this situation could change by next week. Who the hell knows? But it appears that Donald Trump fears Elon Musk more than his own MAGA base. And again, no matter who won in this or who ultimately wins, seems like Elon Musk clearly has the upper hand now. He's once again got Donald Trump by the throat or another part of the body. Got a vice grip on him. We're kind of screwed. The rest of us are kind of screwed no matter what, because both the MAGA base and the MAGA base as represented by Charlie Kirk, Steve Bannon is what I mean, and the tech bro right like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, they're both terrible. So we are in a monster movie that no matter who emerges victorious, the rest of us are kind of screwed no matter what. But this should be a wake-up call to sane Trump supporters. Although I suppose I would argue if you hold this position in the first place, I should question your sanity. But to self-interested, I should say, and rational Trump supporters, that he will gleefully throw you under the bus the moment you are less beneficial to him than an alternative option like Elon Musk. It's a lesson everybody in this calculus should learn, but it also seems increasingly likely that Elon Musk will be the de facto president of the United States on January 20th until January 20th, 2029. Sobering stuff. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.